What up, Clock Dodgers? It is episode 89 of the Clock Dodgers podcast. I am your host, Neal. Our guest today is Stef Sherrill. You guys know Steph. She's been on the show before. Marketing, a little wizard of marketing. Yeah, you guys know. Well, today we covered a whole bunch of hot topics and things that are buzzing in the streets and music and entertainment. It was a fun conversation. And I say episode 89, but it's weird the way I've numbered these things because we have episodes like 15-minute breaks, Game of Thrones. They're all like their own unique series. So when I say episode 89, you have to take that with a grain of salt. We're really like 120 something in, right? We're in there deep. But this is episode 89 for argument's sake. There's no argument being had, but for some kind of sake. But again, it was a fun conversation. This episode is brought to you by No Halftime. They are the sponsor of the Clock Dodgers podcast. If you haven't played, if you play daily fantasy sports and you don't play No Halftime, I just encourage you to do so. If you use the promo code CLOCK when you sign up and you make your first deposit, you'll get a 50% bonus up to $50. That's what's up. No Halftime. It's a daily fantasy sports app, different than any one you've ever played. So if you're not familiar, go visit nohalftime.com or even just on your app store right now, look up No Halftime. I promise you, you use the promo code, you're going to have a lot of fun. You, your friends, your family, your enemies, whatever you want to do, you're going to have fun. I would not talk about it if I didn't believe it. But let's get to the conversation. Stef Sherrill, you guys know what it is. It's always fun to chat with her. We're going to do more of these kind of episodes. It was fun. You'll see. You'll enjoy it. I'll catch you on the other end. We'll catch up on some other stuff really quick, of course. Just if you're listening right now and you're new to the show, the only thing I ask you is this. If you enjoy it at the end, if you could just hit that little subscribe button on your podcast app, it means a lot to us. It means the world to us, really. If you could tell a friend after you hit subscribe, that's even better. If you could tweet it, make an Instagram post about it, throw it up on Facebook, anything you can do. The word of mouth is greatly appreciated. I cannot put a value on it. I can't even thank you enough for it. So please, if you could do that, it'd be really greatly appreciated. Clockdodgers.com is the website where you can find all kinds of unique articles. You can find these episodes. You can find everything you want there. You could buy the t-shirts. You could buy the wristbands. Anything you want to do is there.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it. You play to win the game.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
You are now locked in to the Clock Dodgers podcast.
Clock Dodgers Podcast.
What's up, Stephanie?
Hi, how are you, Clock Dodgers podcast?
I'm good. Obviously, for anyone, you've been on the show before, but for anyone who doesn't know, this is Steph from S. Mitchell Marketing, right? So, hi, everything good today?
Yeah, everything's great today. I would go on a tangent, but I'm going to spare you from that.
So we had this idea. We've been talking for a while since you last came on about, doing another episode, having you come on again and talk. The last one was fun, so I figured we would do it again. We got some good topics to discuss and everything. But I mean, before we get into that though, I mean, I know you've been busy, so obviously, the marketing world has been good, right?
Yeah, marketing's going great. It's always exciting. Being an entrepreneur has its it has its challenging moments for sure that you typically don't have in a 9-to-5, but the client work is really exciting and a lot of fun. And also the potential of things you can work on is always exciting. So yeah,
I always see like when things are going on, like we're going to talk about some things obviously that, for marketing, include social media and stuff like that. And I feel like every time I see something happening, I feel like marketing is such a big thing these days. I mean, like and all these big things that are happening, I feel like you can all kind of intertwine with marketing. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure. And especially on the social media front, because if you look at the current events that are happening now, a lot of it is all unrolling on social media. So it's definitely integrated.
Absolutely. So I figured, okay, so we call it out. We know you're doing good. I'm doing good. You're busy. Work is good. Life is good. Obviously, you said you're going to spare some details, so we'll stay out of that for now. But I guess let's jump straight into some of these topics because we got a lot of good ones, a lot of stuff going on right now. So
yeah.
The first thing I wanted to talk to you about was, and again, this goes straight into like social media and everything, is the vice president decided that he was going to visit, a football game, watch a football game. And it was the Colts versus the 49ers. And the first thing he does, obviously, is takes pictures and says he's there and all this kind of stuff. And then he bolts and he leaves, because he said that the players kneeled and that, he felt it was disrespectful. The same thing we've been hearing forever now since they've been doing it. But, a lot of people took to social media instantly, especially because he did. I mean, that's where he was kind of relaying all these things. And so I wanted to kind of get your take on that because, like I said, social media seems to be the outlet that we're all using now. It's like, it's faster than the news. It's faster than everything. And this is where, politicians now are taking their, I don't know what you want to call it, but like where they're bringing their fight to almost, you know what I mean? Like between him and Trump and all this kind of stuff. So how do you feel about all this right now? I mean, a lot is obviously being said and there's a lot to, to unpackage, but how do you feel just on the outside looking in at the, just over the whole thing?
I feel like everybody with a sane mind would look at it. It's very crazy. I feel like we're not even like living through a real presidency right now. Like I've always been the type of person that's like, I'm not going to talk about Trump. Like, I'm not going to give him any more attention than I feel like he deserves, which right now he doesn't deserve any of my attention aside from bringing awareness to the stupid things that he's doing. But he does stupid things every day. But in terms of him and Mike Pence bringing, all the politicians in general, this is just such a headache. But like everybody's on Twitter and everybody's just using this as a platform to sort of say things that they feel like they should say. And the funny thing is that like one of the number one, or I would say not one of the number one, that doesn't make sense, but one of the top like things about social media, one of the top rules is that you don't tweet when you're really emotional. So like if you're very angry or, you feel like you're going to be offensive, you need to take a step back. Like that's one of the first things you learn as a social media manager. Obviously, Trump did not get that memo. Neither did Mike Pence. And so, like, this leaves a lot of. They can't use it. It's a platform that they can't use. There's not anything that says that a president can't tweet his feelings.
Right.
But I just think it's unfortunate that we are dealing with an administration that is so immature and that lacks values and direction, and they don't have any filter, and they don't have any morals or values. And I just think that it's very telling of where we are as a people, that we've gotten this far.
Right. I agree with you on that. I mean, it's hard to disagree as far as a lot of people are saying, obviously, this was a planned move to sort of either stir the pot or divide people or however you want to look at it. Do you agree with that this was completely 100% set up?
Oh, 100%. 1,000%.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy that we're even saying that. It's so crazy.
It's so funny to me because, have you ever watched House of Cards?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how you watch shows like that and you're like, this could never happen. Like this, like this stuff is like, it could never be. But I mean, it happens, and we hear about people being like so crooked and like hearing about all of these things that happen in Washington that you never think would happen. And this is just one of those things. And from what I was reading, this whole stunt cost taxpayers $200,000 just for him to cause a show, to prove a point. I'm not really sure. But I mean, he was first of all, if you're a vice president, you're very aware of what's happening in the climate and like what could possibly happen if you go to a game. So a rational person would be like, okay, if I'm going to the football game, if they're going to kneel, as a leader, I'm going to, keep my composure, or, this is how I'm going to handle it. You don't just storm off irrationally. Like, like that was so planned. Yeah,
that's one of the biggest issues, I think, with this, administration or whatever you want to call it, is the way they, act so quickly and kind of, it's like you said, you want to step back from something before you react, and it's almost like they can't do that. Do you know what I mean?
No, you definitely can.
Well,
it's like a mental disorder.
Yeah, and an important thing that you mentioned was, when I said all these politicians are tweeting now and they're all on all these social media apps, and you said, well, the president could tweet, he could do whatever he wants. It's interesting that you say that because I don't know if you've seen where Jamel Hill from ESPN got suspended again. So she got suspended, and pretty much the reason it was because she was talking politics and, kind of getting involved in that stuff again, which, we're in a weird time, right? Where like social media is blending with your job and your workplace, especially when you have a platform sort of because of the employment, you know what I mean? Where your voice is louder because of them. Where do you stand on that, being that, you know, you deal with marketing and social marketing, all this kind of stuff? Where do you feel about, you know, when you have a job like that, and the president could be kind of one of those situations where you shouldn't be allowed to just tweet, you know, your feelings, but I feel like it's such a hard thing to balance. You know what I mean? Like you have this moral place where you're at, where you want to, you know, you have a reach right now, but then at the same time, you're getting paid by somebody to tell you not to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's different from what Jamil was doing as opposed to like what Trump is doing or what like I remember when Trayvon Martin, when that situation was happening, some like Big B employee had like tweeted something like really offensive about him being murdered. And you know, she was fired as a result. So like what Jamil was doing was totally different from that. She was actually doing her job. Like her job is to speak on these issues. And she didn't say anything wrong. She was saying, you know, if you have a problem with, what's the guy's name?
Jerry Jones, right? The Cowboys.
Jerry Jones,
yeah.
Right. With what Jerry Jones was saying, then don't take it up with the players. Like it's too much weight on the players' shoulders. You need to take it up with the advertisers because all they care about is the money. So you need to go to the advertisers and say, like, we find this really offensive, and you know, you need to speak with this person about things that they said or pull your ads. I mean, she didn't even say that. I'm just saying that that's what I would say.
Right,
you know,
right.
like basically that's what she was saying, is that take it up with the people that actually have the power, and you know, money is power, so you have to go to the advertisers. So she didn't do anything wrong, but you do have to find I mean, aside from her situation, with all these times, like all of the racial tensions and the political parties going at it, you know, you do have to be cognizant of what you say, because I know we all like to think that we're all not racist and we're all, you know, we can all get along and
we're
everybody
all perfect. And
yeah, you know, but like really you could be working with someone who is, and not to say like I have anything against Republicans, I don't. But like, you know, it could be like somebody that is like a like stern Republican who you know, maybe comes from a racist family or something like that, or could be racist themselves. And, you know, you tweeting something and they could take it to a manager and it can go too far and you could be fired, and then you're like shocked that you're fired, and it could really get out of control. Not to say that you should censor yourself from speaking out against what's wrong, but I'm just saying that, you know, the thing is that we have to stick up for what's right, regardless of what the consequences are.
right.
You know, so like if that takes, you know, I remember when the NFL first started protesting, I was like, well, you know, like all these like NBA players and celebrities were like, you guys need to protest and you need to, you know, kneel. And I was like, well, yeah, it's easy for you to say, like, these NFL players don't have the best contracts. You know, they're already not, a lot of them aren't getting paid a whole lot of money. They have a family to support. Like, they don't want to risk that. So I get their hesitation with wanting to kneel. And I just thought it was unfair for everybody to like have to like expect them to kneel. But at the same time, you know, we do have a responsibility as human beings with decency to say, like, this is wrong. And the whole thing about kneeling got taken out of context anyway. It's not even about what everybody's making it seem like it's about. Colin Kaepernick was saying, stop killing us. Like, I'm not going to stand for this national anthem. First of all, the lyrics are terrible. Like, they're against everything we believe. Like, you know, they go against me. And then I also feel like I'm not in a country where, you know, justice is really served and where they really care about us as Black people. Like, basically just stop killing us.
Right.
And people took that and turned it into whatever other narrative they wanted to turn it into, like being anti-America or whatever.
Right. Yeah, they basically switched the narrative, kind of distracted us from the point, which, you know, the main point still isn't really talked about because we're busy talking about the distractions always, right? And it's funny because you also mentioned with the whole, you know, social media thing, it's like, obviously the NFL teams at the end of the day on the owner side is a business, right? And when you have a business and you want, you know, customers, you obviously don't want to offend customers because you lose them, right? So it's this weird balance where they're trying to run a business, their employees, in a sense, are trying to fix an issue, which is kind of, they're both button heads, right? Because you're doing, when you try to fix this issue, you're also hurting their business to some people. And then other people say, well, obviously money isn't the important factor here. Those people that you're referring to, you don't even want their money in the first place, kind of thing, It's one of those weird places. Sports is a weird thing, right? It's just, it's a lot. It's important to a lot of people, and it's a big part of a lot of people's life. And when you take anything else besides sports, you start to make a lot of people angry. It's weird. Like even on the internet, if an athlete or a social media account that's supposed to be sports oriented talks about something besides sports, people are like, oh, I'm gonna unfollow because you stopped talking about sports. Like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? Like they want to escape that, I guess. So
yeah, and I think that it's unfortunate that well, I won't say that it's unfortunate that we're talking about race in football, because I feel like any opportunity where you can bring awareness to the injustices that are happening in America is a good platform.
Right, absolutely.
But and I remember even when people were we're tweeting Jamil and we're like, stick to sports. And it's like, well, yeah, we're sticking to sports, but this is what's happening in sports. And also these athletes are real people.
Right.
Like when they're on the court and, something, even if they don't do anything, but they could be called an N-word, or which we have seen, and a lot of, they've just been called out of racial slurs, and like they're just supposed to like sit there and take that and not feel away, or they're supposed to stand for the national anthem, and when they know that like there's a 60-year-old man that just got murdered in Utah for riding a bike, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I just don't understand how people don't expect these football players to, I don't know how they expect them to just play the game and to follow by the rules, especially when you have NFL owners that are talking to these NFL players like they're slaves, like basically telling them like, you need to do this, or if you don't do this, then you can't play. And like, it just seems very, very, it seems like we're going back in time. Like I honestly feel like we're living in the 60s and 70s.
That's what it feels like sometimes. It does.
Definitely feels that way to me.
And one of the other, points before we move on to other stuff, one of the other points that a lot of people say is, and I hear this, a lot, and obviously you hear it a lot from white people or people who are insensitive to the, to the whole situation. They're like, oh, well, these are millionaires. They need to, shut up. They have all this money. Why are they worried about this? Or it's like, don't you understand that? The old saying, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Like when you have this money and you have this spotlight, you feel a responsibility to talk for the people who can't, you know what I mean? So, regular people, can't get their voice heard like athletes can, or like actors can, or like musicians can, or whatever the case may be. So, those guys are acting out, not out of, oh, I have millions of dollars, I can speak. They're acting out because other people can't, you know what I mean? And we're hearing them.
They're still black. Like, you
exactly,
know what I mean? You
yeah.
can have as many millions as you want. You're still a black person at the end of the day. And unfortunately, I used to be one of those people that was like, I don't see race.
Right.
I'm just, everybody gets along, I don't focus on that. Until all of these, I think Trayvon Martin was sort of the turning point for me. And then I started seeing more and more. And then I was like, whoa. Like, this is a real issue. And so I say all that to say, like, even if these athletes do have millions of dollars, which, mind you, some of these NFL players do not.
Right,
but like,
they don't.
Even still at the end of the day, they're still black. Like, people still call LeBron James racial slurs. Oprah told a story about how she was denied shopping at a certain store because, she was black. You know what I'm saying? As rich as she is. So it doesn't matter how much money you have. At the end of the day, people that are racist will do whatever they can to make you feel inferior.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a big issue. It definitely needs to keep being talked about. And even here, like on the podcast, people will say after this, like, why did you talk about that? Why did you go there? I listened to it for such and such a reason. But it's like, I forget who just said it recently, but it's like, we need to be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, we have to have those conversations. It has to be had, because that's the point of this whole thing. Because I feel like if we don't talk about that, then everything from Colin Kaepernick to kneeling to all these things is like a waste if we don't talk about the real issue at hand. You know what I mean? So I definitely encourage that, any way possible. So and obviously we could do this for hours. So we'll keep doing what we can about that and keep talking about it. But I just want to talk about some other things first before we come back to it or whatnot. And a lot of these topics I have today are sports oriented because there's so much, man, I'm telling you, sports, social media, everything is clashing with culture and social, it's just crazy. But
wait, do you know what's funny is how the last time I was on the show, I was like, well, if I can find something to talk about with sports.
Yeah, and now it's like, well, you got your wish. You got exactly what you asked for. So Cam Newton, right?
Oh my God.
All right. So let's kind of preface this by the fact that, okay, Cam Newton, you can take, there's a lot of people who don't like Cam Newton straight off the top, right? They don't like the way he acts. Sometimes I feel like they don't like seeing this guy happy. Like there's just something about him they don't like. For some reason, they feel like he's immature or whatever the case may be. But he made this comment about female reporters. She asked him a question about routes and something, the routes that people were running or whatnot. And he was saying that it's funny to hear a woman talk about routes as if like, she shouldn't understand that or she can't understand that, whatever the case may be. And I don't know if he was joking. I don't know what his context was, but obviously in the world that we live in today, anything you say will be taken out of context. So, it did, if it, or not, I don't know. But, you're a mother, you have a daughter. I mean, how did you feel when you heard this? I mean, did you just push it aside or did it bother you? Like, how did you feel?
Okay, so I will say this first. I actually used to like Cam Newton as an athlete, and as a person, I like for what he stood for previously. But even before this comment, I remember him making comments, and being all lives matter on his, platform or whatever. And I was just like, you're an idiot. So when this happened, I was not, surprised at all. But from the way that he said it, I get what he was trying to say about like football is mostly like a male sport, and typically you won't hear, I guess like the norm is I'm not like a football like
junkie of some
fanatic,
sort.
Like I'll watch a football game. I love my Lions, and all of that. But yeah, so when he said it, I think it was the way that he said it too. Like he was just so, I don't know.
Do you feel like he was almost like condescending about it or something? Or?
Yeah, he was. And it was just like his body language and all of that. And I was just like, you slime ball. Like he was like, it wasn't so much that like, I was like offended, but I just thought he looked like an asshole. So like when he said it, I was just like, okay, like, yes, I guess it's like, it would be like, okay, so I had this debate with a friend of mine. And he was saying like, he was saying like, it's funny because you don't normally hear women talking about football. Like it's funny to me to hear you talk about hip hop and really know it because a lot of women don't really know hip hop like that. Right. Which I don't really know if that's true or not. I just know that I love it. So I don't really know what other women know about it. But so he was saying that, it was funny in that way. But also Cam Newton's been in the league for how long? Has he never heard a woman talk about routes before?
Right.
Like
he's had to be around female reporters and.
Yeah, like that was just so weird to me. I mean, and I guess like, so my friend was saying, like, it's sort of like how if a man was, like, talking to you about, like, contouring and pigmentation and highlighters and all that stuff, like,
right.
makeup, you would be like, huh? And I was like, okay, I get it, but it's the way that he said it. And I don't think that he should have lost an endorsement deal. Like, I don't think that the fallout should have been that big, but I also know that he just says a lot of dumb stuff. And I think that he needs to really, like, his attitude is just all off.
It rubs people really bad, it does.
Yeah, like so I think this might just be the wake-up call that he needed to be like, I really say a lot of dumb stuff. And like, maybe I need to like evaluate the way that I communicate with people.
Yeah. And I fall victim to it too sometimes, even when you say like, to my son or whatever, like, oh, don't act like a girl, don't cry like a girl. And it's like, oh man, I'm kind of not making that worded correctly. You know what I mean? Like I probably shouldn't say that. You know what I mean? Like it makes it sound like I'm dismissing women in a way, like they're weak or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just something you're used to saying, you know what I mean? But you put this guy on a stage and you put him in front of people and he feels like he's in this, personal space or whatever, but he says something that's going to get blasted across the world. And obviously, it didn't come off right. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like we definitely have to correct that in ourselves, as a society.
Yeah. Because she's a reporter. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she's for a reason, like she's there for a reason. Give her some respect. You know what I'm saying? Like that just really pissed me off and rubbed me the wrong way. So like, yes, I get what he is trying to say, but I'm just not a big Cam Newton fan because of his stupid remarks. And I have no sympathy for him now. And I hope that he takes this and he really thinks about what he says and he, respects the next woman sports reporter that he comes across.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that we talk about it a lot about women in the workplace and how hard it is obviously I can't speak from a woman's point of view. You can probably reference this more, but just to be taken seriously, right? That's a lot of problems for women.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot, like no one takes me seriously, or whatever the case may be. But that obviously doesn't help in the sports world. On top of all that, like women are finally breaking that barrier a little bit more, and to say that kind of knocks it back a little bit, right?
That just touched a nerve because I'm thinking about like if I was in her, because women have to go through so much. We have to go through like sexual harassment in the workplace. We have to go through men, trying to set up meetings with us just to have a date, like
right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for her to have to go through all of this, for her to be well versed in sports, and I know that like some tweets came out that she had posted like previously that were terrible. So I'm not defending her as a human
she ain't
being.
Perfect either, but
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's her. I'm just saying in her career, like for her to have gone through, school and to learn so much about sports, and have to go through all that she has to go through as a woman, as a sports reporter, only to get in front of Cam Newton and have, ask her a question. And she asked a pretty, she asked a standard question to me. Like, I'm not a football player, but I know about routes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
You know the general part of it.
Yeah, I know the general terms. So, like, that was just so dumb to me. Like, now I feel even more bad for her for having gone through that. I don't feel too bad because I know she wasn't the best person from the get go.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know, man. It's a lot of stuff going on out there. A lot of stuff.
Crazy.
Man, internet is crazy. And what's funny is, I seen it, and I seen you tweet about it. I tweeted about it. The death of AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh, rest in peace to AIM.
Yeah, and I was like, it's funny because I don't know when that came out exactly. I want to say I was in like middle school or something. I'm not sure. I probably you're younger than me, I believe, so it's probably even earlier for you. But when the internet came out, for me at least in my life, like AOL and all this kind of stuff, like it was so much different than it was now because it was something where you like didn't have it all day with you like we have now. You went to a computer to log on. You're like, I'm gonna be on there at 5 p.m. or whatever. You know what I mean? And like now it's like it's everything to us, right? We're fully immersed in it. So it's just so weird to see how it's completely taken over. Like it is literally like 24/7 our life. You know what I mean? So it's weird to hear like AOL Instant Messenger's going away, AIM's going away. I was like, man, what a crazy time. Like
End of an era.
Yeah.
But I got introduced to AIM through my sidekick when I had my
Oh yeah.
sidekick. Actually no, before that I had it on my computer, but it wasn't long before I had my sidekick. So that was the first time I was on AIM. And yes, I remember it being like, it was just such a part of our day to day. Like I said this in a tweet too, like our away messages are like the original subtweets. You were like, if you didn't like a girl or like if you were like beefing with your man or whatever, like we would put up these hostilized like away messages.
And you had your profiles all decked out and everything, trying to explain who you were.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
Yeah, AIM was the truth, man. AIM was.
And like the screen names were so funny. Like the screen names were hilarious.
They were hilarious. They were funny. They were crazy.
Like the worst nicknames ever. I don't even know what we were thinking. I was trying to figure out what mine was because it was my AIM names were like so bizarre that I don't like quite remember. Like I think I had 3 different ones, but they were just so weird and so embarrassing.
No lie, I had my first one ever. I still remember it. Okay, so when a lot of my family would call me Bud or Buddy, right? Like I don't know why, some doll or something that was out when I was a little baby, and so. That's when I grew up. Like people calling me Bud or whatever, right? So when the internet came out, I had to make a screen name. So like Bud, and then it's the internet. So like Bud Net, and then time because it's your time on the internet. I was like, yo, Bud Net time. This is crazy. But I need to bring that back. That's so dope, man. That's so retro.
Oh my God! If you bring that back, I will tease you mercilessly.
Yeah, it was classic. I mean, and with the internet, there was like chat rooms. You know what I mean? There was some crazy chat rooms back in those
Yes, you
days.
like ASL.
Yeah, sex location, and then the website. You took like hours to like see them unfold in front of you. It was like crazy. It was
That was
nuts.
so fun. Oh my God, that was such good memories. Like those like chat room days, and
There was this
it's
game I
like I
used to
have such
play so much.
nostalgia now.
Yeah, I know. There was this game I used to play called Slingo. Yo, I played the hell out of that game. If anyone
Nice.
knows what I'm talking about, Slingo, man, it was a wrap. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
but things changed. It's the end of an era. But who was really using AIM? Like I didn't even know it was still. I honestly thought it had gone
Yeah,
away. Like
I didn't
a
know
long
anyone
time.
who was using it either. Like you
Yeah, but
said,
the fact
I
that
thought
they
it
made
died
like
with the sidekicks, like you said, maybe.
yeah, no, like yeah, I think like when the sidekicks went away, like AIM, I didn't even hear anything of it after that because
Do
then it was like
sidekicks still exist?
Blackberries. No,
Okay,
sidekicks
just
anymore.
checking.
But
Those were fly too.
yeah,
That was
then
another
it was
era.
about BBM. Now we're doing iMessage.
Yeah, it just keeps changing. It keeps evolving. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's interesting. And so rest in peace to AIM. You know, we wouldn't be right if we didn't say that.
We would be the savvy tweeters that we are today.
Exactly. We had that practice run, you know what I mean? Now kids are born straight into it. Now they just jump straight into it. And speaking of the internet, I don't know, did you see the Miami Dolphins coach thing?
I didn't. What is that?
Okay, so this girl, I don't know what she is. I don't know if she's a
Oh, I
model,
saw that. I saw
stripper, what
that.
she was. I heard all kinds of stuff. But so she released this video of a coach on the Dolphins, enjoying himself, snorting some cocaine, talking crazy to the camera.
A sugar booger.
Yeah, it was interesting. What did you think about that? Like from her side of the angle, like from what I looked
I
at.
thought it was hilarious. It
Yeah,
was so funny to me. Okay, there's three different reasons why. One, because they're obviously strict on like drug testing with athletes, so I just thought that was funny.
right.
Two, the fact that like the fact that he was snorting cocaine on video, like that was so like 80s. Like I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just
and it was
so
like in the Dolphins facility and everything. It was like
now,
crazy.
mind you, yeah, I know yes, that's the thing too. He was like so out with it. And I know everybody in Miami does coke, so it's like,
Not
it's like
everybody. Come on, Steph. Not everybody.
sorry. Don't kill me. Don't at me. But
Not everybody.
anyway, I know it's popular. So that was funny to me. And then third, what was like the most funny thing was when people were saying that she was like a low key informant because she was like a black lady like going in
Yeah,
and like,
yeah,
trying to like take down the establishment with like
yeah.
this.
Well, I
So
seen like these messages and stuff. I guess I don't know. She said she dated him or something, but I
I
seen.
believe they did. She was probably like a I mean, I don't know what she was. I'm not gonna speculate on what she was.
Right.
I know that happens all the time about with like, certain women with these high profile men and they party and they
Yeah,
really let loose and let their true self show.
yeah. And I guess she said she released it because of she was kind of mad at the NFL for trying to say players gotta stand up, but
That
then
is
they got
so
guys doing this kind of stuff like.
black excellence right there. Not even matter.
It's crazy. I seen that
That was
video. I didn't even believe it at first. I was like, "Is this like an actor or something? This can't be real." Like nobody is.
nothing surprises me now. Like nothing surprises
Yeah, but I
me.
know. But like in 2017, you just feel like people gotta know better. Like,
You would think so, but maybe because he's of an older generation. Like I don't know if he just wasn't thinking about it, but like I'm very hyper aware of like cameras,
yeah,
like
for
all the
real.
time.
Especially your own damn phone that you're recording with. Like,
Exactly.
you can pretty much bet that if you send a video to somebody, you might as well have accepted the fact that that thing can go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, for sure.
once you give it to some person, it's a wrap. Like, you've committed to that being released. You gotta just say, okay, this ends up on TMZ. Like, I'm cool with this.
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta already have a strategy. Like,
yeah,
look, if it goes viral,
exactly.
this is what I'm gonna say.
That dude slipped up major. I'm like, yo, what is wrong with this guy?
Majorly. But it happens all the time. Men get so, no offense, but men get
I'm gonna have
so
to take offense. Probably watch. Go ahead.
sloppy around women sometimes. Like I don't know what it is, but like women really impair you guys' judgment. Like you just don't really think things through. Like think about
I'm
how
not
many
gonna get
men you
mad.
guys
But the coke might have had something to do with the impaired judgment.
Oh, of course, of course.
Not
I
just
mean,
the woman.
yeah, he was out of there. He was like blowed out of his mind.
That was crazy. I didn't believe it at first. I was like, this has got to be a joke. This can't be real. But it was
Yeah,
real.
he's really out here, high as a kite and living his best life with this Nubian queen,
Exactly. Hey, listen, if he's enjoying it. But
right?
hey, to each their own.
What are the consequences for that? Did they say
Yeah, he
like
well he
what?
resigned. He resigned. There was no way they were
Okay.
gonna fire him either way, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
son.
hey, hopefully he didn't blow all that money, literally, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully he kept some of it in the spot. Hopefully he kept some of it. Yo, but like okay, so life is crazy, right? I was watching on Netflix. I don't see whenever something comes on Netflix or TV, I don't ever want to spoil nothing for people, so I got to kind of step around it easily here. But I don't know if you've seen this special called The Long Shot.
I haven't.
Okay, so there was like this. It's a Netflix original. I think it's new because I just seen it, but I'm not on Netflix like all day, so I don't know if it's new or not. But it was a story of this dude who got charged with murder for murdering some girl. I think she was like 19 or something. But anyway, it's like the way it unfolds. I can't say what the outcome is, but like HBO was involved. Larry David, the guy who like created Seinfeld and everything, like all this is on this documentary, and it's like obviously that's crazy. I mean, I don't know how that all plays in together, but it was all in together, and it was a really good documentary. But it just kind of the reason I'm bringing it up is because it just kind of showed that like one small detail in this guy's like day, and how all these things came together, like really affected his life. You know what I mean? Like the one smallest detail of his day, like if he would have did one thing differently, it would have been a totally different outcome. Do you know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. I think about that all the time, but like, I mean, on a smaller scale, like anytime I'm running late, I'm like, well, and I didn't mean to run late. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, I'm probably late because like if I would have gotten in the car, maybe something would have happened, like like something
exactly.
like that. Yeah,
And I just thought
that's
about
true.
I thought about that documentary. I mean, I highly recommend anyone to go check that out. But I just thought about it because like if this dude didn't put it on camera, if Kaepernick didn't kneel, if this it's just all
I
these
know
little things,
it's
like
like one little circumstance. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna
I
watch
would
it, and
definitely
I'll.
watch it. And it's not even that long. It's like I think it's like 40 minutes. It's just less than an hour.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but it's good, man. It's interesting. Like when you start seeing like oh man, the way it comes together is just crazy. But it's a good thing. So The Long Shot. I can't spoil it. You know how bad I want to spoil it. Next time you come on, I'm gonna spoil
No,
it.
I was gonna say we'll do a recap or
Yeah,
something.
for sure. So what did I want to do with this? We hit up a lot of these hot topics that I wanted to talk about. And so I'm trying to, do things a little bit differently here. I'm trying to have, this weekly show here where it's a little different than the norm. So, one thing I wanted to do was start, because I'm so into to sharing things, right? Like when people share stuff with me, I've been introduced to a lot of good podcasts, music, whatever. Like we've all been introduced to things, food, clothes, whatever, that somebody shared with us. And so I figured, why not start sharing things on this podcast, like once a week, whether, like I said, it's a show, an artist, like whatever, anything at all. And so this week I wanted to share actually an artist, a hip hop artist, Russ. You familiar with Russ?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So I wanted to share it because to me, like, I just got introduced to his music, I want to say like a month ago. And when I heard the music, I was like, dude, this guy's really good, right? And I'm like, but how do I not know this guy? So I like went to social media and the guy had like over 1 million followers and stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, I like to say that I'm someone that's in tune with everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to ever be that guy that's like, oh, he's old, he don't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like he's not with the time. So I'm like, how did I not know of Russ? What do you think's the case with that? Why have I not heard of Russ, Steph?
Russ is one of those people, one of those rappers that is like, was sort of like a underground phenom. Like he's one of those rappers that like only the cool kids know. Like
Oh,
like
so you're
no,
saying I'm not a
no
cool
offense.
kid till a month ago?
I honestly didn't know about him. I didn't know about him until like very recently too, like probably like a few months ago. But he's a young kid. Like he's like I can't say kid. He's probably like 3 years younger than me. So he's not like, it's not too much of an age difference. I'm not going to
Yeah.
age myself. Um,
All these
but
fine
anyway, yeah,
details.
that's what it is. He's one of those, but he's one of those artists that is really gaining a lot of momentum. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I actually like that. He is one of those artists that is really gaining a lot of momentum. And I think that he, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I actually like that he his music is really good and he has like a really strong fan base, and the fans that he has are fans that genuinely love his music and that really, really love him as a rapper. But I think that when you have that strong of a core fan base, when you do start to get the publicity and when your marketing does start to come into play, then you really blow up. Like look at Chance, for instance, like Chance the rapper.
Yep.
Had such a strong fan base for so long. And then once he started to get more publicity, people were like, whoa, this guy is awesome. Like, you know, who is he? And then, you know, we heard Coloring Book, and it was like, you know, now he's like one of the biggest rappers in the world. So I love Russ's progression. So that's probably why you haven't heard about him, but he's very, very popular. He has a strong fan base, and I love his music. I like him as a person too. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I want to say I've seen an interview of his or something somewhere, and it was something that probably got some attention somewhere. I forget what happened, but I seen it and I was like, well, who is this dude? Like I watched the whole interview and not knowing who he was. You know what I mean? It was like one of those cases. I'm like, who is this guy even? And then I searched him up and I was like, damn, how did I not hear this music before? So it's like now it's like constant rotation. So I just feel like if anyone is in the boat that I was in and wasn't familiar with him, like go get familiar with his music. And it's not even like it's hard to explain like the style, right? I mean, I wouldn't say it's straight hip hop, would you?
No, I wouldn't say he's straight hip hop. He's more like I like to call it like alternative rap.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like he
like sings and has melodies and
all
kinds of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's not like a straight hip hopper.
And some of it's angry. It's just I don't know. It's dope, but it sounds pretty real. I mean, it sounds like.
I love that about his music though, and I like that about this newer generation of artists too. I know that a lot of these artists I don't really rock with like that, but like with people like him where the music is like authentic and when it's really like, you know, him really expressing himself, I'm a fan of music like that.
Yeah.
No matter what genre it is.
Yeah, me too. And then
he also had the event, I have to plug Rap Radar's event on October 16th in New York at the Highline Ballroom. But they're going to have like an interview with him. So I'm interested in, I think it's like I don't know if they're going to be airing it live or what. I think they are, but it's going to, I'm really interested to see like what he talked about.
Is it going to be like a Q&A or just a straight up interview, you think, or what?
Yeah, like a Q&A. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like how their regular, I think it's how their regular podcast format is going to be.
Okay.
And they're just going to ask him like, you know, basic questions that we all want to know, maybe questions that people haven't asked before, and maybe they'll do like some audience Q&A or something like that, because I know there's going to be an audience there. So
yeah, he's definitely getting his buzz. And then, you know, a lot of times you see stuff and like when I see people who I don't know and then I see like that kind of following, I'm like, did they buy followers? Like what's going on here, you know? But it seems like for him it's 100% organic, and the one reason I knew it was real because, you know, mine and your guy Gary V actually had him on his show, and I was like, Gary Vee only fucks with the real ones. You know what I mean? Like he knows what's real and what's not. He even says it on his show, like you can fool the dumb people, but you're not gonna fool the smart people like me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, this guy's legit. He's buzzing. And the one thing I like is from watching for me, whenever I hear something new and I like it, I start to consume like a lot of it, right? Like interviews, everything. And I heard like, you know, his journey was super long. Like he said he was putting out videos like every single day, like new songs for like 9 years straight before it just popped one day. You know what I mean? Or, you know, gradually popped, I guess you would say. But I like the story, you know, just as much as the music.
That's the case for a lot of artists, and people don't really understand. Like you know, you might see Russ and you're like, oh, he's like an overnight sensation, or like, you know, he just came out of nowhere, and it's like, no, he really was grinding for a really long time,
right.
And I respect his grind, and that's what a lot of people. And he's so young, so for him to understand that, I'm sorry, he's 25. Why do I keep thinking he's like 19? I don't know. But, you know, a lot of people, you know, forget that you actually have to work. You know what I mean?
They always think it's overnight success. There's no such thing. Yeah,
so I'm glad to see him getting his shine. It's well-deserved. And, you know, he seems like a really cool guy. I've listened to, like, a couple of his interviews as well, and I agree with, you know, a lot of things that he says. He just seems like a really dope person.
Yeah, he's really forward, too. He don't, like, hold back. So,
yeah, for sure.
It's good. So, again, just a quick recommendation. Go check out his music. Check out what he does. It's good stuff. I like it. Steph likes it. That's got to count for something. She said she's a hip hop head. She's proved it. You gotta take her advice here. So yeah, I mean, so that's those were kind of, you know, a lot of the things that I want to talk about here today. I mean, do you have anything that you feel like we missed maybe, or that we really need to talk about?
Do I have anything? Do I have any recommendations?
I know you got recommendations. It's whether you're trying to keep them to yourself or
No,
whether you're
no,
trying
no.
to share them. You want to
I was
hold
trying
out. How
to
don't hold out on those.
special that I needed to that I felt like I wanted to plug, but I don't. But you know what? I've been listening to Janae Aiko's album Trip a
The new
lot.
album, right?
Oh my, it's so good. Like it's so good. There's some songs that I literally have on repeat and it annoys people, but I love her album.
Yeah, she's super talented.
She's very talented. She's a great songwriter. I think that her I know that she gets criticized because she's not a powerhouse vocalist, but not everybody needs to be.
Nah.
She has a nice soothing voice. She can sing on key, and I know that she can, sing with bravado when she needs to. So I'm not really opposed to her singing style.
Yeah.
But I just love her music. It puts me in a really zen state, and she says a lot of things that girls want to say.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, like you said, she doesn't have that vocal that you're talking about that people look for a lot, but I like that style that she has. It's different, and like you said, it's calm. It's chill,
I don't need everybody to sing like Whitney and Beyonce and Mariah, okay?
Yeah, we don't need that.
Everybody.
We got enough of it. You know what I mean?
I like the whisper singing every once in a while. It's nice, calming, soothing. She has a good voice.
Yeah, and she's worked with a lot of talented people, so that's how you know she's legit. Obviously,
Yeah,
her and
she's
Big
worked
Sean
with
got a thing going
lot.
on, but yeah, she's worked with Childish Gambino and all kinds of people.
Yeah.
She's
and she's practically a Detroiter because she's dating the Prince of Detroit, Big Sean.
Big Sean. Another beast.
I know, right? Oh my God. Speaking of, did you hear Eminem's Cypher?
I didn't hear it yet. I just seen it on Twitter. I seen the headline, and I'm I gotta hear this.
Yo, it tied into the whole Trump thing. He just spazzed. I was so proud, and I love his beard too. This beard thing.
Oh yeah, the new look. When I seen him, I didn't even know who he was. One day, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it's so crazy. He doesn't even look like himself.
It's brown, not blonde.
Yeah, he was spoken word shady. It was so dope, and he really spazzed. He went for 4 minutes, I think. But it was one of the best things I've seen in a while. I love Eminem, obviously, but that was just exactly what my little hip hop soul needed.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. Especially, I seen an interview with 50 Cent recently. I don't know if it was Hot 97, Power 105, which one it was, but he was talking about Eminem and how he wants him to just put his stuff out already, put music out. You know what I mean? In the age that we're in now, it's kind of what it is. You just keep feeding it. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
Eminem tends to to take 10 years off, come back, 10 years off, come back. That's what it feels like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does that all the time. And then also Eminem has different styles of rapping that aren't really and I can't obviously don't know what's going through his head, but I know what's popular now in music, and what he does is so different from that. And even with the stuff that Eminem used to do at D12, it was so sort of I call it cartoon rap because it's sort of no disrespect, but it's
right.
Playful rap. You know what I mean? So he was, but then he can also be very serious, and then he can be very violent.
Yeah.
And then he can make these hits, these hits like My Name Is, and he's so versatile as a rapper. But he's so versatile as a rapper. I think maybe he might just be trying to find his groove or something. I don't really know. But I just know, and then sometimes it's best to just work on something until it's super dope rather than rushing and putting it out. But at the same time, you don't want to wait too long. What do they say? Perfection is the enemy of completion or something?
Yeah, I believe so. Because if you try to be perfect, you never finish it.
Yeah, so I hope he doesn't wait too long, but I think he might just be trying to, figure out what's the right sound and what he wants to put out. But I hope it's soon because I love Eminem. I'm a huge M fan, and it just will make me so happy.
That's Detroit bias aside, right? Put that aside. Still...
I can't say that it's all Detroit bias included.
I don't know. He's been hanging out with Dre too long, hiding all that music from us. That's what he's doing.
I always think about that. I always think about I wonder what Eminem and Dre work on on their downtime. Because how you're with your friends, how you've been around people that make music, I'm sure, but you sit around the studio and y'all are just goofing around and stuff like that. I wonder how many things they have that are actually pretty fire.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine being in a session with those two, just sitting there and taking that in? That'd be crazy.
I cannot even I can't even imagine. Like, I would gag. I would faint. I'm such a big fan of Dre too. Like, man, West Coast hip hop, like West Coast rap is it has like a special place in my heart. Like, I love West Coast rap. I've always listened to Dr. Dre. Like, man, even when I was too young.
Have you ever lived on the West Coast, or you've always been in Detroit or Michigan or whatever?
No, I've always been in Michigan for the most part. I lived in North Carolina for a little bit, but not for longer than a couple of years. But I've been in Michigan all my life. But my mom actually introduced me to Tupac when I was younger.
Oh, okay.
She loved rap music. She loved Tupac. She loved DMX. She used to listen to everybody. But like, I remember her being a huge Tupac fan. She had like all his albums, and she's a minister too, mind you. But
Wow.
but she introduced me to rap music, and like, I just been like, ever since then, I was just such a huge fan of like West Coast rap, and I went back and listened to like NWA, and then I which made me listen to Q, which made me listen to Dre. So like, that's how my love of like hip hop was sort of born, from like my mom really having such an interest in it, and I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's dope. It's always good when your parents like pass some stuff down to you. You know what I mean? Like when you get some good stuff. The
especially
good
rap.
stuff. There's some
It's
negative
dope.
shit, but the good stuff.
Yeah, most of the time parents be like, don't listen to that. And my parents have always been super supportive of my love for hip hop. Like, they've never said like, you can't buy that album. Like, they always
Yeah, they always try that.
like, let me listen to whatever. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, they always try that. Don't always work though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely listen to the Eminem ciphers.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out. Put this Russ on pause and check that out.
Yeah, you have to. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I for sure will. You'll see me on Twitter with it. So, I mean, we covered everything I wanted to cover. We hit all the hot topics, all the things that we really wanted to discuss. We threw out some recommendations. We did everything here. This was fun.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we got a chance to do this again. And I have a mic now. I feel all official.
Yo, this is really official. Last time we did it, you were on a phone, right? Just a regular cell phone?
Yes, I was on struggle mode.
Yeah.
And I only was on a phone. I was in a battle at the time with T-Mobile. I have horrible service in my place, so I was like trying to have them send me a booster fee.
Yeah, it was a battle. It sounded like you were, you had to get to the roof to get it to start working right. You were like, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this one way or the other. We're gonna get this happen.
I know.
So the mic was definitely a good look. It's definitely improvement. For those who don't remember last time or are new, didn't know, where can they find you? On Twitter, and how to check your work and stuff like that.
So you guys can find me on Twitter at StephSherelle_, and you can find me on Instagram. Wait, what else? Instagram and Snapchat at StephSherelle, no underscore. And you can find information about my marketing business at smitchellmarketing.com. And that's it.
I highly recommend they do all of those things.
Thank you.
You're pretty active on all those spots. You got good stuff.
I try.
You do your thing. Not that you know anything about marketing, but you do a lot there. No. Yeah, she's really good at it. So check her out. Follow her in all those places. And hopefully, you come back and we do this again. Hopefully you go watch The Long Shot like you said. Hopefully you don't break the promise.
Definitely will. I'm going to have movie night and watch The Long Shot.
Let me know. We'll spoil it for everybody. We'll come back on and be like, listen, we won't even throw a spoiler alert at them. We'll just go straight into
now
it.
I'm trying to tell them, like, just listen.
We'll just open the episode straight up with what happens at the end. The first thing they hear, they won't hear anything else. No intro, no nothing.
It's gonna be like on The Long Shot when this happens.
Can you believe? Straight out the gate. That's what we're gonna do. So listen, Steph, this was fun. I enjoyed it. We'll do this again. Definitely. We'll definitely reconnect here soon. Let's do it sooner than last time, though.
I know, we definitely look, with all the craziness that's going on, I'm sure we will find some topics to talk about very soon.
They're gonna keep feeding us. I don't think it's gonna let up. I don't think Twitter's gonna let us down. That's the life source.
Right.
Hey, well, you have a good night. I appreciate you, and everybody follow her. Follow her. She's worth it. She's definitely good. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.
Ooh, that was a good one. That was a good episode. Shout out to StephSherelle_ on Twitter, just Steph Sherelle, I believe, on Instagram. You guys are smart, though. You can figure that out. You can find her. I trust you guys are smart enough to figure that out. Again, guys, we're going to do more of these kind of episodes. I really enjoy them, talking about stuff that are going on in the world, in music and entertainment and culture and just all these things that need to be talked about. So it's fun. So this was a good episode. Shout out to Steph. Like I said, hopefully we'll do more of these with her, and we'll try to mix it up with other people too. We'll see what we got going on here in the world these days to talk about. But again, it was fun. I highly recommend, just to remind you guys, Russ. Look up his music on the outro. I'm going to play a small clip of one of his songs. I say a small clip because I want you to go listen to all his music. If I give you the music, then you're not going to go look for it. So I'm going to give you just a small sample size so that you're like, damn, this is fire. And I highly recommend you go get his albums and all that other good stuff. Very good artist. I'm telling you, the Netflix documentary, all these things. You just got to go check them out for yourself. And of course, I want to hear what you guys got to say about some of these topics we discussed. I want to hear what you think about Russ's music. I want to hear what you thought about the Netflix documentary after you see it. I want to hear from you guys. So at Clock Dodgers, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, all those good places. You can find us there, Facebook, anything. Whatever your outlet is, find us there. Let's talk about it. Let's connect. That's what we're here for. We're here to connect with each other. Don't waste this crazy ride we're on. Don't waste it. This podcast is brought to you by No Halftime. You guys know that, our wonderful sponsor. Shout out to them, nohalftime.com. If you guys aren't playing daily fantasy sports, you must not like to win money. I don't know what it is. You must not enjoy sports. I mean, that's fine. Some people don't. But I'm telling you, if you play daily fantasy sports, there's no better way to do it. I'm just saying. Use the promo code CLOCK. I'm just saying. 50% bonus on your first deposit. I'm just saying. No Halftime. Shout out to No Halftime. Hey guys, I got a couple episodes just waiting to be released. Let's just put it that way. And the next one coming up is none other than my returning guest, Ian McLaughlin. For you guys who have been listening for a while now, you know who he is. He's a neuroscientist. Smart dude. The conversation, you guys know, whenever I talk to different guests, I'm always looking for certain things that maybe you don't hear too often, that's not discussed a lot. We talked about some serious stuff, some deep stuff. And then we had some fun also, as always. The conversations always, they go up and down. So look forward to that episode coming out probably midweekish, maybe end of the weekish. We'll see. We'll see how the schedule goes. When we'll drop it. We'll see. No promises, but it's there and it's waiting. If you haven't subscribed to the Clock Dodgers podcast, I would really appreciate it if you do. If you're new, if you're just listening, this is your first episode ever because Steph was on it. Well, keep listening and keep doing this more and keep coming back and share it with your friends and your family. The word of mouth is, you can't put a value on that. So if you enjoyed this, if the least you could do is just share it with somebody else or tweet it out or, post it on Instagram or on your Facebook or something, you'd be surprised how just that little bit helps. It's Clock Dodger Family, CDF. It's what we rep. You know what I mean? And that's what we're here for. And the more people that we throw onto this family, the better things just happen to get. It's just the way it is. The more people we connect with, and it's just the way it is. That's all there is to it, guys. ClockDodgers.com. Tons of unique content, articles. If you're really into sports, it's a great place to check, like fantasy football and stuff like that. Lots of good stuff there, but there's other things too. It's not just that. And if you're interested in contributing to ClockDodgers.com, hit me up on email, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram, wherever you want. If you think you have something to offer to Clock Dodgers, whether it be to write, whether it be just giving feedback or topics for the podcast, whether it's suggestion of guests, maybe you have a guest in mind that you know personally, hit me up. If you want to sponsor the podcast and you feel like you have a good product that you feel the Clock Dodger family needs to know about. If you know somebody who owns a... What up, Clock Dodgers? It is episode 89 of the Clock Dodgers podcast. I am your host, Neal. Our guest today is Steph Sherrill. You guys know Steph. She's been on the show before. Marketing, a little wizard of marketing. Yeah, you guys know. Well, today we covered a whole bunch of hot topics and things that are buzzing in the streets and music and entertainment. It was a fun conversation. And I say episode 89, but it's weird the way I've numbered these things because we have episodes like 15-minute breaks, Game of Thrones. They're all like their own unique series. So when I say episode 89, you have to take that with a grain of salt. We're really like 120 something in. Right, we're in there deep. But this is episode 89 for argument's sake. What up, Clock Dodgers? It is episode 89 of the Clock Dodgers podcast. I am your host, Neal. Our guest today is Stef Sherrill. You guys know Steph. She's been on the show before. Marketing, a little wizard of marketing. Yeah, you guys know. Well, today we covered a whole bunch of hot topics and things that are buzzing in the streets and music and entertainment. It was a fun conversation. And I say episode 89, but it's weird the way I've numbered these things because we have episodes like 15-minute breaks, Game of Thrones. They're all like their own unique series. So when I say episode 89, you have to take that with a grain of salt. We're really like 120 something in, right? We're in there deep. But this is What Up, Clock Dodgers? It is episode 89. What up, Clock Dodgers? It is episode 89 of the Clock Dodgers podcast. I am your host, Neal. Our guest today is Stef Sherrill. You guys know Steph. She's been on the show before. Marketing, a little wizard of marketing. Yeah, you guys know. Well, today we covered a whole bunch of hot topics and things that are buzzing in the streets and music and entertainment. It was a fun conversation. And I say episode 89, but it's weird the way I've numbered these things because we have episodes like 15-minute breaks, Game of Thrones. They're all like their own unique series. So when I say episode 89, you have to take that with a grain of salt. We're really like 120 something in. Right, we're in there deep, but this is episode 89 for argument's sake. There's no argument being had, but for some kind of sake. But again, it was a fun conversation. This episode is brought to you by No Halftime. They are the sponsor of the Clock Dodgers podcast. If you haven't played, if you play daily fantasy sports and you don't play No Halftime,